Activating the bell is simple, quick, and helps us produce more content. My name is Clara, and this is my story, a tale of how I lost everything I held dear, one among thousands where happy endings are rare. Mine was different, but it came at an unfathomable cost. At 27, I stood on the brink of marrying the love of my life, the man I cherished above all. I couldn't envision a world without him, relying on him more than anyone else, dreaming of a future together after 20 years of marriage, surrounded by 5 children and grandchildren. It all began at my bachelorette party, just 14 days before the wedding. Organized by my friends, it started innocently with laughter, toasts, games, and drinks. I never anticipated the turn of events when one of them invited unfamiliar men. Though uneasy, I brushed it aside, and we carried on, sipping, dancing, and enjoying the night. One of the men began flirting with me. Already tipsy, a mix of guilt and excitement took hold, fueled by the thrill of being desired when I knew my fiancée waited faithfully at home. My friends egged me on, and I surrendered to the moment. As we danced closer, an impulsive kiss led to more. I wanted to stop, but a friend's whisper urged me to seize the freedom before marriage, insisting a night of release would ease my wedding jitters and that my fiancé would never know. In that haze of alcohol and peer pressure, my better judgment faded. I made the gravest mistake, retreating to a bedroom with the stranger. When it ended, he left, but I was trapped in a storm of shame and regret. The alcohol's fog lifted abruptly, revealing the harsh reality. A message from my fiancé, Ethan, awaited me. Words of unwavering love and excitement for our walk down the aisle. Reading them, I froze, my heart shattering under the weight of my betrayal. The next morning, I awoke feeling hollow. Ethan kissed me as always, his eyes full of adoration, which only deepened my torment. I loathed myself, the guilt corroding my soul. I tried to act normal, but my facade cracked. Urges to confess surged, yet I knew he'd never forgive me. My friends convinced me to stay silent, promising to take the blame if needed, claiming it was just drunken folly. As days passed, Ethan grew distant, his eyes sometimes glistening with unspoken pain. Our intimacy vanished. He avoided my touch, arrived late, and responded curtly. I suspected he knew, but why didn't he confront me? It baffled me. With the wedding looming, tension hung in the air like a storm cloud. I clung to hope, planning to salvage our love through therapy afterward. On the day itself, I awoke to an empty bed, panic rising as my calls went unanswered. When he finally picked up, his voice was strained, claiming he'd been handling last-minute details. At the church, dressed in my pristine white gown, I fought demons of remorse and fear. What if he didn't show? What if it was all over? Ethan arrived, looking handsome yet detached. As I walked the aisle, his gaze flickered with pain before averting. The vows approached, and in that sacred moment, he locked eyes with me and asked, "Did you ever truly love me?" His voice broke, tears streaming. The congregation fell silent as I stammered my devotion, but his face twisted with rage. "I've seen the videos," he thundered, revealing the betrayal from my bachelorette party. Chaos erupted. Friends and family gasped as videos played on a wall. First, the kiss, then us entering the room. Humiliation engulfed me as I sobbed denials, insisting it meant nothing. But Ethan, consumed by fury and heartbreak, pushed me away. His words like daggers. "You've destroyed me." He accused me of betrayal, his pain morphing into raw anguish. "Why? What did I do wrong? Was loving you too much?" I begged on my knees, promising therapy and eternal fidelity. But his response seared into my soul. "Someone who truly loves doesn't hurt like this. You've killed me inside." As he stormed out, hurling final insults, I collapsed, the church emptying around me. My family lifted me, their disappointment palpable, while Ethan's possessions vanished from our home, photos torn to erase his presence. Desperate, I bombarded him with messages, only to be blocked. I sought his workplace, his family, anything to bridge the chasm. His mother, Eleanor, whom I'd once seen as my own, finally met me. In her arms, I wept, confessing my sins. She forgave me, sharing how she'd defended me to Ethan, even clashing with her husband over it, fracturing their family further. But Ethan's command severed even that tie. In the end, I lost not just a fiancé, but a future, a family, and myself. My story is a warning. Betrayal's price is eternal. He vanished without a word, taking only his suitcases. The calls that followed were always from a private number, his voice thick with alcohol and tears. He told me his father and brothers never wanted to see me again. I understood. All I asked of his mother was that she keep some contact with me, even just a message, whenever she could. She agreed, but warned me we'd have to be incredibly discreet. That one conversation brought a sliver of relief to my tormented soul. The months that followed were a living hell. I'd wake up crying in every corner of the house where he had once been. I would call out his name as if he could hear me. I stopped working. I barely ate. My health collapsed. I hired detectives to find him, but they had no success. I began to harass his family and friends, begging them to tell me where he was. Some called the police, others just argued with me. No one would, or could, tell me his whereabouts. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Every day without him was torture. I thought about ending my suffering. But what if one day he came looking for me? 11 months had passed, and I had lost my sanity. Finally, my body gave out. My family took me to therapy after they found me collapsed in what was once our home, a bottle of sleeping pills empty beside me. I was destroyed, physically and mentally. My life had become total chaos. I had to accept that he had moved far away to never see me again. To him, I was dead. I had to accept, with resignation, that I would never again see the love of my life, at least not as my partner. He had made his feelings for me perfectly clear on that fateful day. I spent a year in therapy, trying to bear the pain and the consequences of my actions. I learned that infidelity is a grave decision with devastating effects on everyone involved. Deep down, we always know this, yet we still choose to destroy the ones we claim to love. As for why I did it, he told me it was because I never truly loved him. But if I didn't love him, why do I still feel this emptiness inside me? I know I have no excuse. Nothing justifies what I did. I had destroyed him just days before our wedding. The road to healing was long and lonely. I hoped that one day I could forgive myself and believe in love again. A little over 2 years have passed since that day. I left therapy a month ago. I've recovered a great deal, found a job, and I'm trying to live a normal life so my family will leave me in peace. I'm even starting to see a new guy. I know I can never erase what I did, but I've begun to accept that things will never be the same. I've improved in all aspects of my life, with my family, at work. I'm making new friends. I stopped going to the places my ex and I used to frequent because it felt like I was cheating on him all over again. But I understand it's for my own good. I'm still in touch with his mother, Eleanor, but she can't speak of me to him, or he'd cut ties with her, and I've accepted that. It seemed I was finally making progress, but fate insists on torturing me whenever I find a little peace. Recently, after much effort, I reconnected with an old friend of my ex, Olivia. She agreed to resume contact on the condition that I never ask about him, and I accepted. I even told her I was seeing someone new and had been in therapy for over a year. She was happy for me. I know I shouldn't have rekindled that friendship, but I did. One day, she invited me for coffee. We had been talking for 3 months, and I had kept my promise. That day, I remembered I had forgotten to send some documents for work and wanted to make a few final touches. I asked to borrow her laptop to edit them quickly so we could continue our chat. She agreed and went to order our coffees while I sat outside. She told me to close all the open windows to help the computer run faster. But as I went to close her open social media tabs, I saw the new profile of my ex, Ethan, on her feed. He had posted a recent photo. Seeing him after so long felt like stepping out of my reality and into another dimension. There was the smile I hadn't seen in years. He looked so happy that without thinking, I smiled too and touched the screen as if I could caress his face. I clicked on his profile and noticed it had been created recently, which is why I'd never found it before. I kept scrolling down his feed and saw a very beautiful woman, I have to admit it, named Emily. I scrolled further and saw a photo of the two of them kissing. It made the nightmare of my ruined wedding come rushing back. It was as if my heart was breaking all over again. I kept looking, my eyes filling with tears, and saw a picture of her hand with a ring on it. There was a caption that read, "Forever by your side, my love." I quickly took a picture of his profile and hers with my phone. I wanted to investigate who this woman was. I knew I had to close the page before Olivia came back. It was hard to control myself and not run home to find out more about them. I didn't want to arouse suspicion. When Olivia returned, she saw I was pale and shaken. I told her I'd received an urgent message from work, complaining that I hadn't sent the documents. I said I'd send them right away and then we could talk. It was so hard to keep my composure. I couldn't take it anymore and said I was feeling unwell. She understood and I left quickly. When I got home, I collapsed in tears, inconsolable, just like before. I had found him, but now he was going to marry someone else. I had always held on to a small hope that if I ever found him and he was still alone, maybe we'd have a second chance. But that fantasy died right there. Reality hit me with its full force. Things got worse for me. I went back to therapy. The crying started again. I created a fake account to follow my ex and his fiancée. I know I'm only hurting myself. I already know where they live, where they work. I even have his number. I've called a few times, pretending I needed quotes for repairs, which is what he does now with his fiancée. Hearing his voice again, I have no words. I crave it, and I listen to it every day. I got other numbers to call again, changing my voice so I wouldn't sound suspicious. I have 1,000 ideas in my head to see him, just one last time before the wedding. I know he won't choose me over her. I just want to ask for his forgiveness and wish him the best, even if it destroys me inside. I have it all planned. I rented a house a few miles from his workplace. I'm going to call him for a quote, but I need to know if he'll come alone or with her. I can't stop now. If everything goes right, I'll talk to him. I hope he doesn't treat me like he did last time. That fear paralyzes me, but I can't turn back now. I invited him to come on Thursday of next week. I purposely damaged the garage of the house to make it look real. I told him I have 5 dogs that get agitated with too many people, to try and ensure he comes alone. I said the garage would be open for him to see the repairs, and when he finished the estimate, he should come to the living room where I'd be working in my studio. I'm so nervous. My whole body feels like jelly. Suddenly, I see a truck parking out front. It's him. He's dressed casually, in jeans and a tight white t-shirt, tools on his belt. He's more muscular, with a bit of a beard. My God, he's even more handsome than before. I run to the studio. Every minute feels like an hour. I hear footsteps. My heart is going to explode. He calls out the fake name I gave him. My legs are trembling. My throat is closing up. God help me. I take the first step and walk out. He sees me but doesn't recognize me. I take off my glasses, push my purple-dyed hair from my face, and say, "Don't go, please." He's silent for a moment, then responds, "Hi, Clara." "Hi," I say. "How have you been?" "Good. And you?" "I'm so sorry," I whisper, tears streaming down my face. "For what happened?" "I know," he says. "You wouldn't be here after all these years if it weren't true. I thought you'd come sooner." An enormous wave of relief washed over me. He was waiting for me. It was hard to get closer, but I did. I tried to hug him, and he let me. He held me tight. I cried, begging for forgiveness. He ran his hand through my hair, comforting me, and gave me a kiss, almost on my forehead. It was the most beautiful thing I had felt in years. I knew it wasn't a kiss of love, but it was the closest I would get. We sat on the sofa. I can't write down everything we talked about, but I'll leave the important parts, he began. I know it wasn't easy for either of us. I said cruel things, and I asked for your forgiveness. But I was devastated. It wasn't easy to recover, but now I think I'm ready to forgive you and move on. He took a deep breath and continued. Today I'm with an incredible person, Emily. She helped me heal wounds I thought would never close. We're getting married. I didn't look for you because I thought it would be worse for you, but I never hated you, not even in the worst moment. I loved you so much, Clara, and a part of me will always love you. I tried to hold back my tears, but it was impossible. I looked at him with tenderness, with a sweet, sharp ache in my chest, and said, I just wanted to see you one last time. I needed this to set myself free, Ethan. I no longer expect you to leave everything for me. Not anymore. You deserve to be happy, Ethan. I ruined everything. I just want to ask for your forgiveness. Forgiveness for everything. For destroying you. For making you doubt love. He looked at me, his eyes glistening. He took a deep breath, held my hands, and said, You're brave for doing this. And thank you for letting me say what I've held in for so long. Clara, I forgive you. I hugged him tightly one more time. I didn't want that moment to end, but I knew I had to let him go. We stood up. He looked at me and smiled for the first time. He said, "Take care, okay?" I nodded and replied, "Be very happy. You deserve it." And then he was gone. He walked out the door and didn't look back. He didn't need to. I didn't look either. I closed the door slowly, rested my forehead against it, and cried. But this time, I cried in peace. I had finally, truly said goodbye.